Welcome back, everyone. Linda Heffernan, A Kaizen Mind, the bite-sized version of my longer video on my approach. Video 3. Um, I'm a behavioral scientist specializing as an executive leadership coach, and in clinical practice, I'm a cognitive behavioral hypnotherapist. I work on the cognition and behavior of excellent leadership, and in clinical practice on stress management for excellent leadership. Today, in the bite sized version, I want to share the philosophy behind my business name with you, A Kaizen Mind. And my clients are often curious about this. So I'm going to talk to you about how I work and what that means for leaders when I work with you. Kaizen is a Japanese word. Kai meaning change and Zen meaning for the better. So this, folks, is about continuous improvement. It's most famous from the Toyota production system, okay, the Japanese business. At Toyota, they talk about small incremental improvements made consistently by everyone, which add up to significant results. Now, interestingly, any worker there can stop the production line to fix a problem. So it's not about dramatic transformations, it's about continuous, aligned, small improvements that compound over time. So, where did this show up for me? What was my Kaizen moment? Maybe 12, if not a bit longer, years ago, I was working with a client on a Middle Eastern project designing a behavioral change program, and I kept hearing them talk about Kaizen. Now, I had been a long time reader of Japanese philosophy, but hearing Kaizen in this business context was something clicked for me. That was exactly how I was approaching behavioral change with all of my coaching clients and in transformation projects. So I took the opportunity to talk to one of my brothers who happens to be a lean and Kaizen expert in the engineering world. And as we discussed it, he said, yes, you're correct. You have a Kaizen mind. You create a Kaizen mind. That's what you do. Bingo. This was why it was clicking. So I then formally introduced it as a concept and a name in my work. Creating a Kaizen mind means approaching your development like Toyota approaches manufacturing through continuous incremental improvement. Small changes consistently applied that compound into transformation. So in my work, in the A game, for example, that's a Kaizen process, a cycle you return to again and again, each time improving slightly in awareness, acknowledgement, appraisal, action, and assessment. So, in my cognitive behavioral approach to coaching, we're not overhauling your mind overnight. We're making small shifts in thinking patterns that, when practiced consistently, rewire your brain. Okay, neuroscience. And my growth mindset approach, the Carol Dweck approach, well, that's Kaizen at its core, okay? The belief you can develop through effort and learning. I think that my Kaizen approach is really, really evident in my clinical work, my stress management work. So I do have postgraduate training from recognized medical, mental health, and coaching institutions, including the study in depth of anatomy, physiology, and pathology. So when I come in to my stress management work, it's not quick fixes, folks. It's very Kaizen. It's small, consistent changes in cognition, breath work, somatic practices, sleep, nutrition, and that transforms your relationship with pressure. I'm going to talk about one of my clients who came to me in my stress management project. at work, and we're going to call him Luke, okay? Luke is a senior leader, not his name. He came to me running on empty. He was stressed, he was short-tempered at home and at work. And he was questioning if he really could sustain leadership at the level he was at, aiming to enter C-suite. So we took a Kaizen approach over multiple 90-minute sessions. In his cognition work, we identified his belief that good leaders never show they're struggling. We also identified actually his should language patterns. So week by week, we challenged these beliefs. We practiced reframes. We worked on generalizations about his team and his beliefs about, working outside of work times and evenings and weekends, which was really impacting his family life. We made small cognitive shifts and we consistently applied these changes. In the breath work, I taught him breathing techniques that he could use to create a general parasympathetic state, which was calm and relaxed, that he could use throughout the day, and in particular when stress hit, in meetings, at his desk, during his morning routine. Simple practices that he applied throughout the day. In his somatic work, his body work, we practiced body scanning, a particular technique called progressive muscle relaxation, grounding exercise, helping him to recognize and release the physical tension that he was carrying. And all of my exercises are recorded, so he gets a resource that he can practice himself again and again and again. In psychoeducation, I explained the neuroscience of stress, what was happening in the amygdala and the nervous system, and how sleep deprivation affected his stress response. We looked at why blood sugar mattered for his cortisol levels, because he wasn't eating properly, and when he was eating, not always the healthiest. So he now understood his body's responses, which helped him work with them rather than against them. And then the final piece, cognitive behavioural hypnotherapy. We used this to work at a deeper level with particularly entrenched beliefs, embedding new patterns more effectively. And I'm trained as a clinical hypnotherapist. I use both cognitive behavioural and sometimes an Ericksonian approach when I want to write scripts based on his language. So we also addressed sleep and nutrition with small changes. Okay, I did refer him to somebody to check his blood levels, a naturopath, a medical trained naturopath, who was able to see where he was lacking in particular minerals or vitamins. We also had an endocrinologist check his hormone levels to see where he was indexing on testosterone, because he was in that andropause period. We looked at a wind down routine, how he ate breakfast, how he worked on his blood levels throughout the day, blood sugar levels. And we looked at his bedtime routine, in particular moving it earlier and earlier each night, just gradually making that move. So nothing dramatic, just consistent, incremental improvements, the Kaizen approach. And it worked. It took us some time, but within 6 months and his next 360, his team said he was more present and less reactive. And, his home actually showed a difference much quicker than 6 months. His wife and children were much happier with his presence, his stress levels, not snapping anymore, playing with them a little bit more in life. A year later, he got promoted. Okay, he was now in the C-suite position because he was actually handling pressure much better with less stress, and that impacted his cognitive function and his strategic thinking ability. So that, folks, is a Kaizen mind, okay? Small improvements consistently applied, compounding into transformation. Why does this matter? Okay, it matters because sustainable change doesn't just happen like that. It doesn't happen through dramatic interventions. It happens through consistent, thoughtful practice. You don't need a complete life overhaul. You just need one small improvement today and another tomorrow, and then you keep going. That, my friends, is how you build resilience. It's not taking a bath. It's how you develop leadership capability. It's about creating lasting change. So a Kaizen mind recognizes that you are always developing. It's growth. There's no final destination, just continuous improvement. And that should not be extremely demanding or overwhelming. It should be liberating. Most of my clients find it liberating. And that's it. That is why I called my business A Kaizen Mind, because I'm helping you to build sustainable development through a profound power of continuous improvement. Whether I'm working with you through the A game, exploring cognitive patterns, building growth mindset, or managing stress, we're always taking a Kaizen approach, a Kaizen mind. If this philosophy resonates, if you are ready to embrace continuous improvement rather than seeking perfection, please subscribe and contact me, akaizenmind.com, or connect with me on LinkedIn, Linda Heffernan, Linda with a Y, not an I, A Kaizen Mind. Thank you for watching. Thank you for taking this time to pay attention to your growth, your development, your growth mindset. Next video will be coming soon. Not sure what it's going to be about yet, but I'm sure that we will enjoy engaging in it together. In the meantime, look after yourself.